Police officer will refer to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth this interview today, so help you God.
I do.
Ms. Epstein?
Thank you.
Would you, Mr. Shipper, would you, just a minute, Mr. McNamara, close that door unless somebody's coming through it, please. Thank you. You may proceed, Attorney McNamara.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, could you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Larry Hootman, Hootman.
Agent Hootman, how are you employed?
I work for the Attorney General's office. I'm a crime scene agent for the Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
Is the Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation sometimes referred to as BCI?
That's correct.
Okay. What do you do for BCI?
I'm a crime scene agent.
And are you a duly sworn peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes, sir, I am.
How long have you been a peace officer in the state of Ohio?
I've been a peace officer for 27 years. This is my 28th year now.
And how many of those years have you been with BCI?
This is my 10th year.
What kinds of duties or things do you do as a crime scene analyst for BCI?
We assist local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies with the detection and the collection and preservation of physical evidence in major crimes.
Okay. And do you undergo any kind of training in order to get the skills necessary to do those kinds of things?
Yes, sir. We have continuing education. I've been to fingerprint schools, shooting trajectory schools, bloodstain pattern analysis schools. We continue to train yearly, at least.
Okay. Is one of the things that you have received training on and that you use as a tool, an investigative tool for BCI, called a Faro scan?
That's correct.
Can you just tell us what that is generally, please?
We use a Faro 330, X330 scanner. It's a device that we use to document scenes. It's a three-dimensional software program. It emits laser lights and picks up points. And from that, with the photographs that it takes, it actually makes a 3D representation of the scene where we are.
So with that 3D representation, can you rotate the image on a computer screen to see everything that was within a 360-degree range of where that scan took place?
That's correct. It's set up on a tripod. On the tripod, it's a blue box. The center is a mirror. The mirror spins and it shoots out these laser signals. The signals are bounced off of objects in the room. It does 360 degrees horizontally. It does 300 degrees vertically because of the device that it's sitting on, or the tripod. It cannot see down through that. So it's 360 degrees horizontal, 300 degrees vertically.
So this device can capture the 360-degree view from around it. It's also useful for doing point-to-point scans, is that right? Or measurements from point to point?
Yes, sir, you can do measurements. That's correct.
Okay. Did you receive any training in order to operate the machine that does the Faro scan?
Yes, sir. I've been through several classes. I've been certified to run the scanner. We also use it for shooting trajectory. There's an application for it where you insert a trajectory rod and spheres to give you a line from which the projectile had come from. I've been certified in that as well. We've done some empirical data studies. So yeah, probably the last 3 to 4 years I've worked with the scanner.
For purposes of the record, I'm showing defense counsel's cases 6 and 7. Okay. Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Agent Hootman, I'm showing Mr. Mark for identification purposes as States Exhibit 6. Could you tell the jury what that is, please?
Yes, sir. This is from January 8th, 2016. This is a certification that was issued to myself, Larry Hootman. Passed the requirements of Faro Focus 3D Scanner Certification Program. Includes theory, planning, data interpretation under the supervision of a certified instructor.
Now, is that a true and accurate copy of the certificate that you received?
Yes, sir.
So, just generally, when you're receiving this kind of training, you go to the training, you've got to fulfill the requirements, and then at the end, if you've done all that, do you get that certificate?
That's correct.
Okay. And is that certificate kept in the ordinary course of business over at BCI?
Yes, it is.
You keep copies for just such an occasion so you can show what you've been trained in, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. States Exhibit 7. What is that, please?
This was a certificate for advanced training, also to myself, October 18th through the 20th, 2016, for advanced 3D training with the Faro laser scanner and Faro Scene software. It's for bloodstain pattern, area of origin analysis, and 3D bullet trajectory documentation. This was presented by a gentleman named Eugene Licio. He has AI2-3D company which supports Faro scanners, and he also does training for them.
Okay, so the first one was the kind of regular training. This is the advanced training.
That's correct.
And same question, you had to undergo the training and fulfill the requirements in order to receive the certificate?
Yes, sir.
Is that a true and accurate copy of that certificate?
Yes, sir.
And is that also kept in the ordinary course of business over at BCI?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Agent Hootman. I'd like to bring your attention to September 13th, 2016. Do you recall that day?
Yes, sir.
And were you employed as an agent for BCI that day?
I was.
Did you receive a call to respond to a location in Ashland County, Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was the nature of the call, and what were you expected to do when you got there?
I received a call.
Welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Heather Hansen, and we're continuing with the trial of Shawn Grate, waiting to see what the jury does in Tex McIver. I'm signing off for the day. Have a wonderful afternoon. Aaron Keller will be sitting here in this seat when you get back.
On scene with him, so I traveled here to actually use the 3D scanner to document the scene.
So this particular scene, is it fair to say you weren't the primary scene processing agent? You were there to assist in using this Faro scanner?
That's correct, just documentation.
Okay. And do you recall the address that you responded to?
No.
Was it on Covert Court?
It was Covert 300 block of Covert Court, I believe.
I said 363 Covert Court. Would that sound right?
I can't say. I know it was the 300 block. I can't tell you the exact address, yes.
Okay. So when you responded, tell us how does it work? You explained how the Faro scan works in general, but once you get to the scene, what do you do?
This particular scene, when I arrived, there were already at least 2 agents on scene, and they had entered a residence and had placed some placards down where they had signified that there may be some possible pieces of evidence that were going to be collected. I went in with the Faro scanner, set the scanner up in the individual rooms from top to bottom. The scanner was set on the tripod. It was leveled. The compass was turned on. It actually does a compass heading when you turn the scanner on after you get it up and running, so that the scanner knows exactly where it is. When you pick it up and move it to another room, it continues with the same compass setting since you have just recalibrated. And I started scanning from room to room, from top to bottom in this residence.
Okay. Did you do that in an effort to scan all of the areas within the interior of that residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's not necessarily one per room. It's one per room and then maybe out in the hallway and then into the other room?
Yeah, what actually happens is this will collect about 11 million points in roughly 7 minutes. When it takes those pictures, when it gets that data back to that scanner, the scanner is only shooting the points that you can see. So if you're in a room and there's a desk, that scanner cannot see on the other side of that desk. You pick the scanner up, you move the scanner to another area to get the opposite side of the room. Then if you're going to traverse from one room to another, you want to set the scanner in an area where it can see both areas that you're going to be scanning, so that it can actually put that scan back together from room to room. So from doorway to doorway, hallway to doorway, just so that the points will come together in the end, so you can actually make a model of the entire residence. That's what the goal is.
Now, after you did the scans you did, and did you do several in different locations?
I believe
to get all
I
the interior?
did 23 total scans in the residence.
Okay. After doing that, is it then downloaded?
That's correct. It's downloaded to a computer. From that time, it's actually downloaded into what's called a web share to go file, which can be shared with other people, police departments, sheriff's departments, prosecutors, defense attorneys, so that they can download that to their computer and actually see the scene as we saw it when it was scanned.
Okay. For purposes of the record, Shawn, the defense counsel states it's 8.
8? Okay. Yep.
Agent Hootman, I'm handing you as the previously marked as State's Exhibit 8. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, this is a thumb drive that is used to download these scans to, and then they can be transferred from this thumb drive to individual computers.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to view that particular thumb drive?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Is the file on there, or the files, the scan that you're referring to here that you did at 363 Covert Court?
Yes, sir, that's what's on this thumb
Gotcha.
drive.
And is that a true and accurate copy of the scans that you did?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is in an evidence bag. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
It's got the address down there of the location. Is that correct?
363 Covert Court.
Okay. And 363 and a half. Is that right?
That's correct.
Judge, with the court's permission, would like to publish the scan.
Any objection?
No objections, yes.
You may.
Thank you, Judge. And also with the court's permission, we'll run it off of the computer to avoid any lag issues. That's all.
Any objection to that?
No
Same
objection.
case, same computer file? Okay.
Okay, Agent Hootman, we're going to look at the individual scans that you did in this case to see if those are true and accurate representations of the areas that you were present in at 363 Covert Court on the day in question, on September 13, 2016. You mentioned that you weren't the first agent from DCI on scene. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So is it fair to say other agents were in the process of processing the scene in different ways than you while you were in other rooms doing your affairs?
That's correct. I'm about an hour and a half from here, so the agents that were already on scene called me, so it was an hour and a half, roughly, for me to get here.
And so, Agent Hootman, is it fair to say then, as far as you know, that the scans aren't the exact, the things depicted in the scan aren't exactly how they were when police responded an hour and a half before, but they're how they looked when you were there. Is that fair?
I can say that the scans are the representation of when I arrived on the scene.
Gotcha. And in some of these scans, Agent Hootman, just so we're all aware, there are photographs of deceased persons. Is that correct? Dead bodies.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And Agent Hootman, what we're going to do is we're going to look at each one of these. We're going to do kind of the 360. We're not going to linger on these things because it wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't your job to examine any of these bodies or do anything like that. You're there to do this scan to give us this 360 view. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's what we're going to look at.
Okay.
And Agent Hootman, when we look at the screen here, there's 3 frames. Is that correct? Up in the upper left,
Yes.
there are small pictures that are individually numbered. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is each one of those one of the scans that you did in this case?
Yes, they are.
To the right of that, there are red and green dots. Are those also representative of the scans that you did in this case, but for kind of different information?
Yes, sir. There's red, green, and yellow. Yes.
Okay. And those indicate elevation, and they also indicate how close those scans were together relative to distance. Is that correct?
Yes. Those scans represent where the scanner was seated within the residence when the scan was done. Yes.
Okay. And then below that, there's a photograph. So for each one of these that we select, it'll show up on the bottom there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
We're going to start with the first file. It's called 363 Covert Court 0. Is this the first scan that you took?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a 360 turnaround to take a look at the scene here. And Agent Hootman, is this one of the photographs where there's a picture of a dead person?
Yes, the scan will show the deceased. If you're facing the screen to the left side, there's a closet door there, and there's a deceased person in that closet.
Where is Mr. Shipper coming? Mr. Shipper, disconnect both ends of the mirror cast from the power and the disc, and then wait 15 seconds and plug it back in.
All right, Agent Hootman, this picture with 0, this is the first scan you took, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And as we see where we're positioned here, there are already evidence placards down, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll try and move this around the room here. Okay, Agent Hootman, is that file 0 true and accurate representation of that room when you did this Pharaoh scan?
Yes, it is.
Okay. The areas reported to be good. So we see a mattress, is that correct?
Yes.
And connected to the mattress there. You see what those are?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
It's some type of a cloth tied to the bed frame.
Someone else, is that correct, had marked those with the evidence placards?
That's correct.
We're going to go to file 1, 363 Code Report, file 1. Now, Agent Hootman, in this picture as well, there's a photo of a deceased person, is that correct?
Yes, sir. This one's closer.
Okay. So we were in the far corner before, we're moving towards the closet, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. So we'll do our 360 look. Agent Hootman, is that file 1, a true and accurate representation of what's reported to the victim?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Going then to 363 Total Report, file 2. Now we've made our way to the hallway, is that correct?
Yes, sir. This would be the transition scan. Yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, it is.
All right, so we're on the second floor, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
File 3. What is this depicting?
This is the room directly across from where we started.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so we can see into that other room, and we can see into the room we were first in.
That's
It
correct.
looks like there are some items with evidence flaggers on the floor. 12 and 13. You see those there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. .363 Code Report 4. Where are we relative to the previous scanning now?
We're back in the hallway. This is going to be in the middle between the next two rooms leading to the stairs going down to the first floor.
Okay, we can kind of see that green couch with the pull-out mattress from this particular angle
Yes.
into a bathroom, down some stairs, and into the kitchen area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas that's reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, was this set up, if you know, as two different apartments? So there's a kitchen upstairs, there's a kitchen downstairs?
There are two kitchens, yes.
363 Covert Report 5. Just a little bit back then from where that first scan was and sort of towards the bathroom area
That's correct.
on the second floor.
Top of the steps, yes.
Got a better view into that second floor bathroom up there?
Yes, sir.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that is pointed to the victim?
Yes, sir, it is.
Code Report 6. As you look down here, there's a scene web share. You indicated that it's only 300 degrees up that it'll scan. Is this what you're referring to? It can't scan below the tripod?
That is correct, yes.
What are we looking at here?
This is on the landing from the top floor to the first floor. There's a landing area. The steps come down, and then there's a landing, and then they go down to the first floor. This is a scan that's taken on that landing area from the second floor to the first floor.
So if we look up these stairs here, we were up in this hallway before.
That's correct. That's the closet up top there, yes.
Okay. Now we're looking down. Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that it is depicting?
Yes, sir.
Code Report 7. Where are we now?
This is on the first floor, just inside the, what would be the front door, looking back up the stairs towards where we had just come from. If you look to the left side of the screen, that is, this is the entryway where you are now. Inside that doorway to your right, there's a living type room with the blue walls. So we're on that first floor, just inside the front door.
Okay. Previous scan was up on that landing of the stairs. Is that
That's
correct?
yes, that's correct.
All right. And that appears to be an exterior door.
That
Obviously
is.
the entryway to the first floor of the apartment area.
That's correct.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Covert Report 8.
This again is a transition scan. This is in the doorway inside the exterior door, looking back at the front door, the living room's to your left, and straight back that hallway is where the kitchen is located.
Okay. And there's a green, it looks like a blanket attached to the door frame there. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Is that what that is? Is that a blanket or something?
Some type of sheet, blanket, yes.
Okay. So you see there's more evidence placards that have been placed. That is placard 15 on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Is this a true and accurate representation of what is reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 363 Code Report 9. Are we transitioning into that blue carpeted front room?
Yes, this is the living room area, I would call it. The covered doorway is going to be to your right. That is what we were just looking at beside that chair. And then this is going to shoot further down the hallway towards the back door, the kitchen area. There's a door to the right also, which would lead down to the basement.
Okay, and there appears to be a latch on that basement door. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Code Report 10.
Yes, sir. No, this is the kitchen area that I was referring to from the first floor. There's a back door. There's a door to the basement. There's several placards here marking items by the agents that were there before I arrived.
And there's a doorway here as well?
That's correct.
Does that go to another room?
Yes, it does.
This door that's open here, that's the back door, side door to the residence?
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what's reporting to the victim?
Yes, sir.
.363 code report 11. Looks like we're just a little bit farther into that kitchen, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, just for, I guess, purposes of record, there are these circles throughout the picture that aren't part of the actual picture was taken, is that correct?
Yeah, those are scans that were done. And when you do the web share data, if you look, it says 363 Covert Court 008. That's what that balloon is representing. If you double click on that, it'll automatically take you to that view of the scan number 8 that was done. That's what that's for.
So that's another way of moving around the house in this view.
Yes.
If you wanted to see a scan that was closer by, do the circles get bigger?
Yes, you can see the distance from the scans. It's 2.03 meters from where you are to where that next scan is.
If we wanted to see 363 Covert Court 10.
Yes. Double click on that balloon, and that will automatically take you to the next scan.
And this being the one that we just saw.
Correct.
So 363 Covert Court 11 that we're looking at now, is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reporting to the victim?
Yes, sir, it is.
This is how this all looks when you did your scan on September 13, 2016.
Yes, sir.
So we're in the kitchen here now. Can we see into that other room?
Yes, there's a room that is straight ahead, and I believe there may be one more room off of that that's maybe a bathroom in that general area as well. That room straight ahead is more like a bedroom.
Yeah, is the bathroom over in this chair?
Yes, I believe so. There's 2 rooms back there.
So when we select 363 Covert Court 12,
Yes, sir.
now where are we?
Yes, now this is the bathroom that I was referring to your right. There you go. That's a shower. There's a commode there in that left corner, and that's just off the kitchen.
There's a placard for BCI item 16 on the ground there.
Yes, sir, and maybe 23.
Is that a better view of that side or back door?
Yes, that's the rear side door.
And is what is purporting to be depicted here a true and accurate representation of what you saw there September 15, 2016, or 363 Covert Court?
Yes, sir.
Now we're on 363 Covert Court 13. Is that just a closer in view of the bathroom?
Yes, sir.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that's pointing to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 363 Covert Court 14. Where are we now?
This is also just off the kitchen. That is the what I refer to as a bedroom. I believe is a bedroom. There are several placards on the floor. It's just directly off the kitchen.
So if we
That's correct. The balloon there in the middle is the one we were looking at when we were looking in to the bedroom.
And is that a true and accurate representation of the area that is purported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Now, on the wall, this blanket or sheet or something, on this corner wall, is that the other side of what we saw in that front room with the blue carpet?
Yes, sir, it is.
So we could see clearly on that other side the frame, and then there was an opening there. Not as easy to see here, is that fair?
That's correct.
Code report 15.
Yes, sir, this is inside that bedroom area.
So we're on the threshold before, now we're inside.
That's correct.
Okay. There are items that have been marked 25 and 26 here with placards.
Yes, sir.
What do those appear to be?
Cloth tied to the side of a mattress.
Similar to what we saw upstairs.
That's correct.
Is there a closet in this room?
Oh, yes, sir, there is.
Is this a true and accurate representation of what is purported to be the victim?
Yes, sir.
Code report 16.
This would be right in front of the closet door that you had just asked about in the corner of the room.
So there's a different view of that room than we just saw, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
True and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim.
Yes, sir.
Code report 17.
Yes, sir. This is going to be at the top of the steps leading to the basement, just off of the kitchen.
That's the door you told us about before.
That, yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. You mentioned here's the kitchen, and we're looking down the steps, and we're looking down the steps towards the basement.
Yes, sir, that's the landing that you're seeing right below you.
So it continues on down around the corner, is that right?
To the right, correct.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the next 4 scans, Agent Hootman, police also have a photograph of a dead body.
Yes, sir, they do.
This is 363 Covert Court 18. We're going to pan around here and ask you the same question. There's a leg, is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir, that's correct.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what is reported to the victim?
Yes, sir.
That section of 363 Covert Court.
Yes, sir.
We're going to click on 363 Covert Court 19. This is at the bottom of the steps in the basement, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
We scan around here. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas reported to the victim?
Yes, sir, it is.
363 Code Report 20. A little bit farther into the basement, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, again, this is already, agents have been through and have put markers down and done other things to the scene, is that correct?
Yes, sir. To the left on the screen, you can see the leg. That is an actual light right there that was placed in the basement to give us color in our scans. So that was placed there also. But there are placards that are already down as well.
Agent Hootman, is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, sir, it is.
And 21, 363 Code Report 21. Now in a different section of the basement, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so. Agent Hootman, was that the extent of the assist that you provided in this case at the scene of 363 Code Report on September 13th, 2016, doing those scans?
Yes, sir, that's what I did.
Okay. Did you have the occasion on September 16th, 2016, to come back and assist with more scene processing?
Yes, sir, I did.
What was the nature of that?
They had a vehicle at the Ashland Police Department. They had obtained a search warrant to search the vehicle. It was registered to a victim that was located earlier.
Okay. So you weren't, at the time you're doing it, familiar with who that was or any of those facts. You're just, they say, hey, Agent Hootman, can you process this car? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So generally speaking, how does that work? Where was the car? What did you do?
The car was located at the Ashland Police Department. It was secured in the Sallyport area. It was taped off with some yellow police tape, and I was asked to go and process it. It may be related to this scene that we had just saw on the TV screen. So I assisted in processing the vehicle.
What did you do?
First of all, I took photographs, and on the exterior used sterile cotton tip swabs and what they would call stain extraction buffer, SEB. Our laboratory makes it. It enhances touch DNA. I swabbed the outer door handles on both sides, driver's side, passenger side. It was a two-door 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse, like a little hatchback type vehicle. Those outer door handles were swabbed for DNA and placed in separate envelopes and sealed by myself. I then used what we call sterile powder. We have fingerprint powder and brushes that we only use one time and then throw away so that there's no chance of having a DNA hit from another scene. So we have a separate kit that we use so there's no cross-contamination. Use that powder and sterile brushes to fingerprint the outside of the vehicle. And then I was brought a bag with what they said was a set of keys that possibly fit that vehicle. It was sealed by the police department. I opened the bag, cut the bag open, and used the keys inside to unlock the vehicle. Once I was inside the vehicle, I photographed it. I also used stain extraction buffer and sterile cotton tip swabs to do the interior door handles, the steering wheel, the gear shift knob, and also the emergency brake handle, which was located right beside the driver's seat. I swabbed each one of those individually and then sealed those individually in envelopes for further interpretation by a lab. Then we actually searched the interior of the vehicle. All of the items of clothing were removed and placed on the ground of the garage on some craft paper. There were several items of interest in the vehicle. There was a knife under the rear passenger's seat and a sheath that it fit in. I used another chemical called TMB, tetramethylbenzidine. I tested that knife blade to see if there were any presumptive positive blood test, and that was negative. We kept it. I put it in a knife box in case it was to be sent to the lab for further testing. I only tested a small area on it. There was a bag, I believe it was behind the driver's seat. It had a card in it that said Kalahari, and there was a name tag, said Stacy on a name tag. Those were photographed and kept. There was a cigarette butt that was recovered from inside the vehicle, and a box. There was a box, regular cardboard box that was open. And inside that box were smaller boxes that were glass roses. There were 15, 16 individual boxes full of these glass roses inside the cardboard box. I was told by a detective that that's something that they also wanted. So those were removed and photographed. And then I opened the rear trunk area of the car, and in there was a flat tire. I removed a tire. The rim looked to be the same as what was on the car. Once I removed it from the back, it was noted to be flat. And the officer or the detective indicated that that was something that they also wanted. I didn't place it in any bags or anything. I just tagged it, and it was given to all the items of evidence was given to the detective whenever we finished actually executing the search warrant.
Was there a donut on the car itself?
Yes, sir, there was.
Okay. Now, when you're processing a scene like this, and this one specifically, do you know the state of the rest of the investigation, what other evidence has been obtained?
You know, no. There are so many things that are going on. You focus on the task at hand, and we rely on other people, of course, not only the detectives, but also our other crime scene agents, anyone that has firsthand knowledge as to what it is that we take, we keep, we submit as evidence. That's what we have to do.
And Agent Hootman, is it fair to say that as a practice you collect more than you might need because you get one shot at collecting it while it's been secured, and
Sure.
You might not need to test it later, but you got to get as much as you can to start. Is that fair?
Sure, there's items that are never tested, yes.
Okay. Was there any topsoil, bags of topsoil inside the vehicle?
I believe there was mulch possibly in the vehicle. I'm not sure. There was something in there that had to do with lawn and garden, but
Okay, well, let's take a look at some photos.
okay.
The record showing defense counsel states exhibit 9, 10, 11, 12.
9, 10, 11, 12.
Agent Hootman, states exhibit 9. Where the next is?
Oh, yes, sir. It's the vehicle I just described as being in the Ashland City Police Department, Sallyport.
Is that a true and accurate representation of that vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And what angle are we looking at it from?
This is going to be the right front, looking back the side, the passenger side.
Judge, may we publish the picture?
Any objection?
No objections, Judge.
You may.
State's Exhibit 10. What is that?
Yes, sir, this is another picture of the vehicle. It's the driver's side looking from the rear towards the front, has the license plate number, GHK1331, and the donut on the driver rear.
Judge, may we publish that photograph?
Yeah, you got it up, ready to go?
No, Judge, that was the last photo.
Okay, I was gonna say, until it changes up there. Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
Okay, Agent Hootman, not to get too, but you said that the license plate number, is that first number a 7 or a 1? Can you see that clearly?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that does look like 7. George Henry King 7331.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate representation of that angle of the car from September 16th, 2016?
Yes, sir.
And we see there, is that the donut on
Yes,
that
sir.
rear wheel?
Rear driver's side, yes.
State's Exhibit 11. What was that, please?
This is what I described when I opened the trunk or the rear hatch. There's a tire on a rim in there. When it was removed, it had the same appearance as the other 3 that were on the vehicle, and it was flat.
Judge, may we publish that photo?
Any objection?
No objection.
You may.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that it's depicting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No topsoil or garden pavers back there?
No, sir.
And that was flat, is that correct?
Yes, sir, it was.
State's Exhibit 12. Recognize those.
Yes, sir. This is the boxes of roses that I was referring to. There were several boxes, and these red and white boxes. Inside were glass tubes that had these individual roses inside them.
Okay. Judge, may we publish the photo, please?
Any objection?
No objection.
You may.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict, Agent Hootman?
Yes, sir.
Now, when we refer back to State's Exhibit 11, so that's in a green bag,
Yes, sir.
is that right?
Yes, sir.
If we go back to State's Exhibit 11, go back. Is that same bag in the upper right-hand corner there? That green bag with the,
Okay.
here, let me show you State's Exhibit 11.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir. That does appear to be the same bag.
Okay. I think actually, for State's Exhibit 11, is that a true and accurate representation of the area that's depicted?
Yes, sir.
Showing the defense counsel State's Exhibit 13. Agent Hootman, the answers been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 13. Explain to the jury what that is, please.
Yes, sir. This is an evidence log for this individual case, which is listed as 2016-0929. It was prepared by myself on September 16th at 12:53 p.m.
Is that the evidence log from this vehicle that you've just described?
Yes, this is scene 3 is what it's listed as, and this is Ashland Police Department with the items that were recovered from that vehicle that I just described.
Is it a true and accurate copy of that inventory, or excuse me, the evidence log?
Yes, sir.
got items 1 through 14 that were seized in this location with locations where they were found. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as well as the date and time they were found.
Yes, sir.
At the bottom of the second page on State's Exhibit 13, there's a signature and date. Whose signature is that?
The signature on the top line is my signature with the date of 9/16 of 16, and directly below that are the items listed 1 through 14 released by myself, and they were released to the officer or detective at Ashland on the same date, 9/16 of 16.
Okay. And is that his signature on the released two underneath there?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, is the true and accurate copy of the evidence log, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that kept in the ordinary course of business at BCI
Yes, sir.
in order to record where things are found and to whom they are given? Is that correct?
Yes.
Agent Hootman, also on September 16th, did you have the occasion to respond back to 363 and 363.5 Covert Court?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And during the course of that search, do you recall why you were there or what you were looking for?
I was asked by one of the detectives that was there while we were conducting the search on the vehicle if I would assist in going back with them to the residence to recover a couple items that were left at the residence. Trying to think. I can't remember the detective's name, I'm sorry.
Purposes of the record, I'm showing the defense counsel State's Exhibit 15.
Okay.
Did you recover any item for an Ashland detective on that date at 363 Covert Court?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
We had recovered a can of mace, a container, I believe a pink container of mace.
Okay. I'm going to hand you, it's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 15. What does it say on there?
Canister of mace, irritant, in pink case. Ashland PD, basement 363 Covert Court, item number 4, Alting. I think that's the detective's name. Yes, with one of their case numbers on it.
I got you. So there's a written in marker, some information, and then the sticker down here.
Yes.
With some more information. Okay. And it looks like there's a date as well as a signature on the back here. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that typically done when something is sealed or opened to indicate who did it?
Yeah, we do it when it's sealed
Okay.
with our initials.
Could you open that up and take a look at what's inside? Check some close.
Please.
You need scissors.
Yes, I do. I don't have a knife.
And Agent Hootman, is that in fact the pink mace?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So defense counsel State's Exhibit 14.
Okay.
Agent Hootman, a handing which has been identified previously as Exhibit 14. With that.
That is the can of mace found next to the deceased in the basement.
Okay, and that's the a photograph of State's Exhibit 15, the mace you just showed us?
That's correct.
Okay. In that photograph is the mace, but also a dead body, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Judge, may we publish the photograph?
Any objection?
No objection.
You may.
Okay, and that's the mace that we're talking about, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Sure, an accurate representation of where that mace is located in the basement?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Agent.
Here's the scissors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Cross-examine.
No question, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
Next witness.
George Staley. Are you a duly sworn peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes.
How long have you been a peace officer in Ohio?
I served 22 plus years with the Ashland County Sheriff's Office, and I've been employed with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Be a little over 9 years, be 10 years in August this year.
What kind of position do you have? You're a crime scene investigator?
Yeah, I'm a special agent assigned to crime scene investigation.
What kinds of things do you do?
We assist law enforcement agents with equipment, sometimes with special training. Sometimes they need assistance with investigations with both. We assist them with investigating major crimes like homicides, officer-involved shootings, bank robberies. It's pretty much whatever law enforcement needs from us.
Do you do that just here in Ashland County, or do you go to multiple counties in the area?
I am currently assigned to the Northeast 22 counties of the state of Ohio, but also carry some responsibility for the Northwest 22. So I have pretty much the north half of the state of Ohio.
So you're pretty busy, is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you received any kind of training in crime scene investigation for your position at BCI?
We go through approximately a couple years of training once you get into BCI. And then as a part of that, they send most of us to the University of Tennessee's Forensic Academy down to the National Forensic Academy, which is 10 weeks long, so you're staying there for approximately 3 months, undergoing training in different sciences, training in photography, training in, that's where the body farm's located, so training in investigating aspects of forensic death investigation.
What kinds of sciences do you get trained in?
Anthropology, archaeology, entomology, osteology, odontology.
A lot of ologies.
Yes, sir. The forensic sciences, yes.
And you do that, you apply that then to your work as a crime scene investigator?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have continuing education as well?
Yes, we do.
And that goes on throughout your career with BCI, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to bring to your attention September 13th, 2016. Did you have the occasion to respond to an address in Ashland County, Ohio on that date?
I did, yes. I received a phone call from the police department, and I went down to the police department to see what I was going to be getting into later on.
Okay. So what was the nature of the call you received, and what were you then meant to go do?
I believe the phone call originally came from the captain at the police department, and it was in regards to a 911 phone call that they had received where they had taken 2 people from the residence, a female and a male.
Okay. Do you recall, did you respond to the scene?
I went to the police department first because they were working on a search warrant for the residence.
Okay. At some point then, did you respond to the scene in question?
Yes, sir, I did.
Where was that located?
It was over on Covert Court, not too far from here, 363 Covert Court.
Okay. Do you recall what time you responded to that location? Or thereabouts?
I don't really. I know that I was there for a long time.
Okay. Do you remember if you got there the morning or the afternoon?
I want to say if it might have been late morning or early afternoon.
Did you read a report, Agent Staley?
I did.
Okay. Would referring to your report help to refresh your recollection as to what time you responded to the scene, what time you went inside the house? Potentially?
It could, yes.
Okay. Take a moment to review your report and see if there's an indication as to when.
Approximately 9:22.
So your recollection's been refreshed having the first report?
Yes.
And it was 9:22 a.m. that you went into the residence, is that right?
Yes.
That's after a search warrant was acquired?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do in assisting to process the scene at 363 and 363 and a half Covert Court?
When I first got there, I took some photographs of the exterior of the residence. Normally, we've tried to photograph outside first, working our way into the scene, just in case that gives us the ability to document from outside to inside. So first thing I would have taken was photographs exteriorly. And then going inside the house, we photograph everything as we find it. And then from then on, then we start to break up a little bit, try to determine as to where we might need to start, maybe confer with the police department. Is there something specific that we're looking for at this point? And we just go through a series of documentation process, collecting up those things, and then helping the agency figure out what needs to be sent to the laboratory to be processed, or does it need to go for fingerprints, DNA, where does it need to go? We help them with that as well.
Okay. And you took photographs in this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
There's been a number of photographs that Agent Staley's going to ask some questions about. So I'm showing defense counsel, you've already seen 2, 3, and 4, but 16 through 119, 121, 123 to 139, 141 to 143.
Oops, I lost you here. 123 to what?
Sorry, Judge. 123 to 139, 141 to 143, 145, 147, 149, 150, 152, 154,
152 to 154, 152, and 154.
2, including 153,
Okay.
156, 159 to 164, 166 to 170, and 172 to 178.
Thank you.
No, that's okay, go ahead.
Judge, with the court's permission, since we've gone through some of the photographs, I ask for permission to publish the whole stack as we're going through.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
Okay, you may.
Thank you, Judge. Agent Staley, State's Exhibit 2. What is that?
That would be a photograph of the front of the two houses on Covert Court.
Okay. And the house that you searched, which one was that?
The one on the left, the one nearest us.
Okay. True and accurate representation of the areas reported to the pic from 9/13/16?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, State's Exhibit 3, what is that?
That would be the rear door It's not facing the back of the house. It'll be on the side of the house, in between the two houses, but towards the rear of that house that was nearest us. It's the back door entryway.
Is that a true and accurate representation of that part of the house that we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 4.
That would be the same entryway as the previous photograph. The door's been opened now, looking inside the residence.
Directly in on States Exhibit 4, is that a cell phone, or what is that?
I believe it's a cell phone, yes. It's right there at the threshold at the bathroom door.
Okay, true and accurate representation of the areas reporting to the victim?
Yes, it is.
Thanks, sir. States Exhibit 16. What is that?
That would be a photograph from the front on, looking at the house that we went into. That's the front door and the porch on the front.
True and accurate representation of that view of the house?
Yes, sir.
Now, States Exhibit 17. Where are we at now?
Just off to the left of that house, there was a little, like a side yard or a little open lot between that and the fenced parking lot. So we're looking to the left. As you're looking facing the house, looking to the left of the house.
So to the left, we've got that open area, and then farther to the left, a parking lot. Is that right?
Yes, sir. On the other side of the fence. To the left of that fence would be a parking lot, yes.
No buildings over there.
Well, there are further across the parking lot, but not right in that immediate area, no.
Okay. And to the back, we can kind of see in this photograph, there's a parking lot in the back as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then some buildings farther back?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that is purporting to depict?
Yes.
Thank you. States Exhibit 18. What's that?
Okay, this previous photograph was of that side lot to the left. Now we've walked back into that lot and viewing towards the back of the house. You can see the front porch to the right, and then to the left, you can see both houses. The house that we were in would be on the right side, or the one that's nearest us there, and then the rear door goes in right around the corner in between those two houses.
True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 19. What's that a photograph of?
And now we're looking again towards the back of the house, but we've moved over towards we're actually behind the other house, the second house. The doorway that we see on the little porch is that back door entryway that we went into.
Okay, now we can see a little bit the area to the side of the house in question, 363 Covert Court, kind of to the right of the photograph. Is that right?
Yes, the house that we were in is on the right.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
States Exhibit 20. What's that?
That would be the rear of the second house. The house that we were in would be the one on the right.
Okay, and there appears to be a building across the street. Do you know what that is?
I believe that's a laundromat.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict from when you executed the search warrant at 363 Covert Court?
Yes, sir.
So as we're looking at this photo, to the left of this other house, doesn't appear as if there's something real close to that either. Is that correct?
There's a street to the left, out where we can see the Pepsi sign. There's a street out there.
Okay.
And there's nothing between this house and the street, and then across the street was an old factory that was in the process of being abandoned, tore down, if you will.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes.
Thank you. This is Exhibit 21. Still in the exterior here. Was that a photo of?
That would be, again, the second house, the one that was closest to the street. The laundromat would be in front of this, and actually in front of both of these houses. So we have now moved a little bit more towards the street. Again, still taking photographs on the exterior of the houses.
So we're just kind of making our way around these houses, is
That's
that right?
correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
That was 21, correct?
Yes, sir.
Stacy, Exhibit 22. Now where are we?
Okay, we've crossed the threshold going into the residence. We had a previous photograph as the door was opened, just looking in for the floor. Now we have stepped inside that residence, stepping towards the bathroom, and there looks to be what appears to be a cell phone on the threshold that goes into the bathroom.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
Stacy, Exhibit 23. What's that?
That would be a photograph of what appeared to be a cell phone at the threshold in the bathroom area.
A little bit closer in there, is that right?
Just same photograph, just closer view of it, yes.
Now, Agent Staley, you told us that when you go in, you want to take photographs of the scene as it was before starting to kind of process and put down placards and stuff like that. Is it
That's correct, yes.
So are we still in that process now?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of a closer in view of that cell phone?
Yes.
Stacy, Exhibit 23. Thank you, sir.
Yes, it is.
Stacy, Exhibit 24. What is that?
That would be a photograph looking into that bathroom, just capturing what's inside the bathroom,
Okay, so
just as it was found, yes.
is at your feet then, as you're taking this photograph, is that where the cell phone would have been?
Yes, sir.
Okay. True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
Stacy, Exhibit 25.
Would be the shower area, just inside that threshold of the bathroom.
Okay, it looks like there's some bottles in there. It might be water or some clear substance. Is that correct?
Yes.
And a bucket with apparently something in there. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. True and accurate representation of this part of 363 Covert Court when you were photographing this area.
Yes, sir.
Stacy, Exhibit 26. What is that, please?
We've turned at our present position, turned now slightly to the left, capturing the toilet area and the sink, which would have been just inside that door that we were standing at.
Okay, is that a true and accurate representation of the area it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
Appears as if there's some more bottles there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And perhaps a bottle of shampoo?
Yes.
Okay. Stacy, Exhibit 27. What's that, please?
That is going to be a photograph of the kitchen area. We've backed out of the threshold from the bathroom and turned to the left, now looking towards the front of the house. That would be the kitchen dining area.
So if we turn to the right from where you're standing as you took this photograph, is that the bathroom?
Yeah, you would turn 90 degrees from this view. You would turn 90 degrees, and the bathroom would be there.
Okay.
To the right.
And then 90 degrees to the left, is that side door we went through?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
All right, Stacy, Exhibit 28.
Be the same kitchen dining area. We've turned now slightly to the right, just trying to capture what's in that room as I got in there.
Okay. And it appears as if there's a doorway to the right, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 29.
That's still in the kitchen dining area, now capturing items that would be on the floor.
Okay, it appears as if there's a Walmart bag and a clear bag
Yes,
with some items inside, is that right?
correct.
And then right next to that would have been the stove.
Pardon me?
Right behind those bags, is that the stove?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 30.
Still in the kitchen dining room area. Off to the left, what we see is a doorway. That's the doorway that we shot some of the previous photographs from. Now, in front of us, we have a kitchen dining table. That window would go through to the outside between the two houses. And again, just capturing what items were found inside the house.
Okay, is that a true and accurate representation of that particular portion of the kitchen that you're photographing from that
Yes,
day?
sir.
State's Exhibit 31.
It's basically the same photograph as the one previous, only now we're focusing more of what's on the floor. So that's the kitchen dining area, the kitchen dining table, and now what's on the floor in that area.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate representation of that, what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. State's Exhibit 32.
Still in the kitchen dining area. That's a kitchen counter showing the sink area and dishes that would have been on the counter. It's basically just the same photograph as before, just slightly to the right now of what we previously saw.
Okay. True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 33.
Still in the kitchen dining area. Now we've turned almost 180 degrees behind us. The stove we see off to the left. There's a doorway right in the middle, and that doorway leads into a room that's adjacent to the kitchen.
And is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 34. Would you identify that, please?
The room that was adjacent to the kitchen that I spoke of previously. Stepping into that room, it's a photograph of what's documented in that room.
Okay, and we're not to the point where you're doing anything but photographing, right? You're not
Correct.
putting down placards or taking evidence.
Correct.
Did you notice, though, anything as you're going through here, anything of evidentiary value?
Items of potential evidentiary value, items of clothing that would have been tied to the mattress would have been somewhat of interest.
Okay. So you took note of those?
Yes.
All right. Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict, Agent Staley?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 35.
Similar to the previous photograph, looking there in that room at the mattress, again, photographing articles of clothing tied to the mattress itself.
Okay, is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 36. Describe what that is, please.
It's the same, basically the same photograph as before, backed off just a little bit, now focusing a little bit more of what's on the floor. just to capture and document what's in that room.
And that's how it was when you responded there to execute this search warrant on September 13,
Yes, it is.
2016.
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what is purporting to depict Agent Staley?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 37, as we continue to document this room, where are we at now?
Same photograph as before, slightly different angle and close, zoomed in just a little bit closer.
Now, Agent Staley, as you're taking these photographs and you're moving a little bit, are you intending to include some of the things that you took in the prior photograph for context?
Yes, that gives you some idea of where you're at. If we were to just take photographs, various photographs throughout the room, you may not know where they are. So capturing a little bit of the previous photograph and it puts everything in perspective for you later on.
And then you can get a little bit more as each photograph progresses, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of what's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
That was State's Exhibit 37, is that right?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 38. What is that, please?
Same photograph, looking at the front of the mattress, the items of clothing that were tied to the mattress.
Just a closer in view of that stuff that you mentioned before.
That's correct, yes.
True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 39. Okay, kind of a backed up view now, is that right?
Yeah, backing up a little bit, we've captured things on the floor in the lower scale at this point, so backing up now, looking to see what's on the wall, capturing what's on the nightstands, if you will, and a little bit more overall inside that room.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what's purporting to depict?
It is, yes.
Agent Staley, anything that's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 41. What is that?
Again, we're in the same room. We've changed slightly a little bit to the left now, still capturing in the end tables, the items that are there, but now panning a little bit more to the left.
And up on the wall, to the left of the buck, do you know what that is? Or can you tell what that is?
I would say it's like a tapestry of some sort hanging on the wall.
Is there an entryway behind there
There is.
that's obscured by that thing hanging on the wall?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. That was 41, right?
Yes, sir.
42.
Same photograph as before, a little bit closer, now getting into focus a little bit more on what might be on those end tables, the positioning of where those end tables are in that room.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 43.
Again, same photograph as previous. We've moved into the room a little bit further, now closer photograph of what's on the end tables.
Agent Staley, it's the same photograph up on the computer screen, is that right? We've got it zoomed in here. We can zoom back out if you'd like the context.
Yes, it is.
Okay, can you tell what items are in that basket that appear to be obscured by that other basket on its side?
I think they're roses in glass tubes, if I'm not mistaken.
And then on the table right there, is that jewelry? Can you tell what that is in front of the VCR and the remote or the DVD player? Whatever it is?
The beaded looking things?
Yeah.
It appears as though, yes, it's jewelry.
All right. Is that a true and accurate representation of that area that is purporting to depict?
It is, yes.
Thank you. State's Exhibit 44.
We've moved in the same room, now moved back towards the door that we entered into that room, and now just capturing what's on the other side of that room. We still have the tapestry on the wall, the end tables in view, but now we're catching it from the contents of that room and the position of those things in that room from a slightly different angle.
So from this photograph, all the way on the left, is that door frame for the door entering into that room?
The immediate left at the edge of the photograph, yes, that's the doorway going into that room, yes.
And so if we turned to the right, that's where the bed would be in that refrigerator?
Yes, sir, that'd be correct.
Okay. Thank you. Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir, it is.
State's Exhibit 45. What is that, please?
Look, moved into the center of the room. Off to our right, we still have that tapestry hanging on the wall. We're looking into the corner that we couldn't see before, and there's a doorway in that very corner. There's a door there.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 46.
In the same room, we're just inside the doorway. There was a refrigerator there, just documenting the items that would have been on top of the refrigerator.
And we're going to come through later with placards and look at photos of placards. So is there anything of evidentiary note on top of the refrigerator?
Duct tape is always of interest.
Okay. And what about to the right?
There was that little black box-looking thing, rectangle. At the time, we weren't exactly sure what that was, but it looked like it might have been some kind of a cell phone type deal.
Is that a true and accurate photo of the areas reporting to the pics?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 47.
Opening the doors of the refrigerator, just capturing what's inside the refrigerator.
Doing your due diligence and searching through the house, is that correct?
I usually photograph refrigerators for some reason, but
Never know what's in there, right?
that's correct. You can learn things.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's depicting in that photograph?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 48. What is that, please?
Outside the room that we were just in, backing out of the room, through the doorway we just went into, turning now towards the front of the house, which would be a left turn, just beyond the kitchen, there was a hallway and a doorway that was obscured by whatever's hanging there.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 49, I think we're moving through there now, is that right?
Yes.
You see what's on the other side?
Yes. We've moved through that doorway that we just previously saw. Now we're into an open area, a front room area, that there was another doorway that opened up into foyer, mudroom interior. What we're seeing through this doorway would be the front door of that residence. Outside of that would have been the front porch, and then across the street from that would have been the laundromat.
Okay. Is that photograph a true and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 50.
Same photograph as before, now slightly turned to the right, capturing what would be in that front room.
True and accurate representation?
It is, yes.
State's Exhibit 51.
From the same location, now turning more to the right and capturing what would be down that wall to our right. Just capturing what's in that room.
And in State's Exhibit 51, kind of in the middle of the picture, on the past that chair, is that the other side of that tapestry that you, or whatever it is that you described before?
That's a doorway that would lead into the room that was just off or adjacent to the kitchen. That would be a doorway that goes into that room, yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of what's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. State's Exhibit 52.
Same photograph as the previous one, now just looking out in towards the middle of the room, just trying to capture what's in that room.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 53. What is that?
Towards the middle of the room now, we're looking back towards, it's the same room, just looking at it from a different angle now. So now we're looking more towards the front, where Agent Winterich is standing there. That would have been the doorway that leads out to the front door of the front porch.
Okay. That's one of the agents that assisted with the execution of the search warrant?
Yes, it is.
And the garb that he's wearing, what's the purpose of that?
It's referred to by us as PPE, personal protective equipment, because we don't know what we're going to get into. It keeps us from transferring evidence and from us from picking things up and taking things out with us.
Okay.
It's protection for us.
And were you wearing a similar or the same kind of clothes?
Yes, sir.
Protective gear?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 54.
Okay, now we've just passed through the door that Agent Winterich was standing at. So now we're standing between that doorway and the front door that goes out to the porch. We're looking through the windows at the house, the second house, so that would be between the two houses. Off to the left is a stairwell that goes up to the second floor level.
Is that a true and accurate photo of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 55. What is that, please?
That would be a photograph looking up that stairwell.
Kind of making our way upstairs.
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 56. Where's that?
Photographs of the steps leading up to the second floor.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
It is, yes.
State's Exhibit 57. I'll hand to you now. Who's that, please?
It is one of the steps in the stairway that was leading up to the second floor.
And was there anything in this photograph that drew your attention?
There was an abundance of dust on the steps which in the dust, it appears as though there looks like a footprint in the dust on that steps.
Okay. And is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
Agent Staley, were any of the agents from BCI or any of the other law enforcement agencies who were present when you were there at the execution of the search warrant on September 13th barefoot?
No.
Okay, everyone, all the police officers, everyone who was there was wearing shoes when you were there, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. State's Exhibit 58.
Okay, we've made our way up the first flight of steps to the landing area, now turning slightly to the left, looking up the second flight of steps that goes up to the second floor level.
And is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 59.
Now, having made it to the top of the steps on the second floor, it's a photograph looking down the hallway, just showing the different doorways.
Is that a true and accurate representation of this portion of the house?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 60. What is that?
From the same location, now turning to the right, the first door that we came to on the right was an entry into a bathroom.
And does it appear as if there's some things on the ground there?
Yes.
A Polar Pop cup and a bottle of some kind?
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what this photograph is?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 61.
Stepping into that bathroom, just photographing the items that were in the bathroom and the area of that bathroom.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 62. What is that, please?
From the same location, now turning to the left, photographing the area between the bathtub and the walls. We can see the edge of the doorway there that we just passed through, just documenting what's in the room.
Behind the bathtub there, can you tell what that is? Zoom in a little bit on the computer. That helps you understand.
Looks like a stuffed animal.
State's Exhibit 62, is that a true and accurate representation of the
It is, yes.
63.
This would be a photograph inside the same room, be the opposite end of the bathtub that we previously saw.
In the center of that photograph, is that another stuffed animal?
It appears as though it is, yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, sir, it is.
State's Exhibit 64. What is that, please?
We're in the same bathroom. The stuffed animal that you previously mentioned would have been kind of right in front of us to the left. There was a doorway just to the right. That doorway opens up into a closet area off that bathroom.
Okay, so you searched in that closet as well, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 65.
That would be the door to that closet was open just a little bit more and just capturing what's in on the floor of that closet area.
True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
And then State's Exhibit 66.
Now we have actually stepped into that closet and now turning, looking back to the left, just again capturing what's in that closet, what would be on the floor.
True and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
Today's Exhibit 67. Where are we at now?
We are in a room, as we were looking down the hallway, the bathroom that we just left would have been the first door on our right. Down the hallway and to the left would be the last door on the left. There was a room that just had some furniture in it. I don't know, it didn't appear as though it was a bedroom, but it was like a lounge area, living area, if you will.
Okay. Is that photograph a true and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 68.
Stepping further inside that room, looking back, there was the doorway that we would have come in would have been off to our right. So now we're looking from the center of the room at the wall. There was a closet that would be to the left of the door that we just came in.
Okay, so you searched the closet as well, is that correct?
Yes, we took the closet, looked inside the closet as well, yes.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 69.
Now moving out, going back out into the hallway, the door that we just came out of would be to our right. So this would be the first door on the left at the top of the steps. The bathroom would be right across the hallway from this. We're looking into a kitchenette, kitchen room, I guess you would call it.
Agent Staley, do you know whether or not these were separate apartments? The downstairs and then the upstairs with their separate kitchenettes?
I believe it would have been set up at some point in time to be a duplex, a double dwelling type situation.
Okay, so this is the upstairs kitchen area?
I believe so, yes.
And is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 70.
Okay, we've now stepped into that kitchen area. We're in towards the center of the room now, and looking, we would have made stepping into the center of the room, turning to the left, there was another doorway with a stairway that leads up into the attic area.
Is that a true and accurate representation of what it's purporting to depict?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 71.
That would be a photograph of that same doorway. The door's been opened now, and we're exposing the stairway that leads up to the attic.
True and accurate representation of the area that it's purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 72.
Having made my way up to the attic, we can see the last two steps of the attic, but that's the attic floor, and just documenting what's up in the attic.
So a true and accurate representation of that sort of center area of the attic as you come up the stairs?
Yes.
Thank you. State's Exhibit 73.
Okay, that's another photograph of the attic area.
Okay, is that to the side?
I want to say that's to the right.
Okay.
If we're at the steps, look to the right.
Okay. True and accurate representation of the areas purporting to depict?
Yes,
And this is 74. So is that going the other way?
I believe it is, yes.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the area that is purporting to depict?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So as part of searching a scene, you want to be thorough, you want to look around at everything, is that correct?
Yeah, we document everything first as we found it. So that way we can say that these are unaltered photographs. This is how we were exposed to it.
Gotcha.
Counsel, it's been about 2 hours since the jury had a break, and I'm guessing based on the number of exhibits you've already suggested we're going to cover, we're going to run past 5. So how about we take a 10-minute break right now?
Sure, Judge.
Judge, how late are you trying to go? We approach, Judge.
Sure. I mean, do you think we can finish with this witness tonight?
Oh, there's
No way?
not in any tolerance for the average juror. Sure.
With the testimony of Mr. Staley, it's clear from this conversation we're not going to finish today. The state's indicated now to take a break. So we are going to conclude today's proceedings. It's now 4:43 p.m. And I ask that you be back in the courtroom by, if my time's right, this is like 8:45 a.m., so we're ready to go by 9 in the morning. As I excuse you this evening, please again remember that you're not to discuss this case with anybody